Hi everyone, this is Lakshmi. Welcome and welcome back to my channel Study with Medico. Here we are going to study the third chapter, that is Plant Kingdom. And let's start the topic. I highlighted all the key points of this topic. So let's start. We studied in the previous chapter that in 1969 Whitaker proposed the five kingdom classifications, in which kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia are included. Fungi and members of Monera and Protista having cell walls are excluded from the Plantae group. Now we can also study that cyanobacteria are not referred as blue-green algae and not the member of algae anymore. Then we study about algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm and angiosperm. We studied about the biological classifications in the previous chapter. Then let's go for the artificial classifications given by Linnaeus. They give equal importance to the vegetative characters and also sexual characters. This is not acceptable because the vegetative characters are more easily affected by the environment. And now let's talk about the natural classification system which is existing till now, and then this is given by Bentham and Hooker, and which is based on the natural affinities among the organisms. In natural classification system given by Bentham and Hooker, they describe about the external features and also they describe about the internal features like alter structure, anatomy, embryology and phytochemistry. Then we talk about the phylogenetic classification system, in which phylogenetic terms are considered. Then we talk about the evolutionary relationship between the organisms, and these organisms have same taxa and have common ancestors. Then we talk about the numerical taxonomy, in which computers are used and the characters are given numbers and codes. Each character is given equal importance and hundreds of characters are considered in this. Then we talk about the cytotaxonomy, in which cytological informations are given like chromosomes number, their structure, their behavior. And if we talk about chemotaxonomy, the chemical constituents of the plants are considered, and nowadays these are used by the taxonomists. Then let's talk about the algae. They are chlorophyll bearing, they are simple, they are autotrophs, and they can found in both fresh water and marine water. They have various habitat like moist zone, soils and woods, and the symbiotic association also found in this. With lichen, they form symbiotic association, and in animals in sloth bear. Then they have variable size. For example, colonial forms like volvox, in filamentous forms like Eulothrix, Spirogyra and ectocarpus, and for some marine forms such examples as caps, which form massive plant bodies. And then we talk about the zoospore. The spores are motile, that means the flagella is present on this, and the flagella may be biflagellate or monoflagellate. Then we talk about the type of reproductions. There are three types of reproduction shown in this, like isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. Let's talk about the isogamous type of reproductions. In Eulothrix and Spirogyra, we can see this type of reproductions, but there is a little difference. In Eulothrix, they are flagellated and similar in size, but in Spirogyra, they are non-flagellated and dissimilar in size. Then we talk about the anisogamous. In this, gametes are dissimilar in size, for example, Eurodina. And then we talk about oogamous. In this, two types of gametes are found. One is female gametes and another is male gamete. The female gamete is non-motile and larger, but the male gamete is smaller and motile. The examples are volvox and fucus. Let's talk about the uses of the algae. As we know that half of the total carbon dioxide fixations on Earth are carried out by algae through photosynthetic, and big photosynthetic, they are increase the level of dissolved oxygens in the environment. It is a primary producers of energy rich component, and the porphyra, laminaria and sargassums are the These marine algae are used as food. And then we talk about the hydrocolloids, which are water holding substance. Examples are algae, which are found in brown algae, and carrageen, which is found in red algae. And this is used for the commercial purpose and obtained from Gelidium and Gracilaria, which used for the preparations of ice creams and jellies. Then we talk about the chlorella, which is rich in proteins and used by food supplements by space travelers. Algae are differentiated into three types, that is chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae and rhodophyceae. Let's talk about one by one. Okay. Then let's talk about the chlorophyceae, which is commonly called as green algae, and they have pigments called chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. They are differed in their various shapes like discoid shape, platelet-like shape, reticulate shape, cup shape, and they have storage bodies called phyenoids, which contain both proteins and starch, and they have oil droplets. Green algae usually have rigid cell wall made up of inner cellulose and outer pectoge. They vegetatively reproduce by fragmentations and asexually reproduce by flagellated zoospores called zoosporangia. Let's talk about the sexual reproduction. This is mainly of three types like isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. For example, Chlamydomonas, Bulwark, Eulothrix, Spirogera and Chara. Let's talk about the phaeophyceae, which is commonly called as brown algae, mostly found in marine habitats, and they have chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. They occurs in simple branched filamentous forms, for example ectocarpus, and profusely branched forms, for example caps. They vary in different colors depending upon the pigments of xanthophylls, and their food is stored as a complex carbohydrate in the form of laminarian or mannitol. They have a gelatinous coating called algin. The plant body usually attached to a substratum by whole spurs and has a stalk and stipe. The leaf-like photosynthetic organ is the frond. They vegetatively reproduce by fragmentations and asexually by the biflagellate zoospore. And sexual reproduction may take place by isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous, and the pyriform are the pear-shaped and bear two laterally attached flagella. Some common examples are Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum and Fucus. And then we talk about the rhodophyceae, which is commonly called as red algae and have a red pigment called R-phycoerythrin. The food is stored as floridin starch, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. They reproduce vegetatively by fragmentations, asexually by non-motile spores and sexually by non-motile gametes. Sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization developments. Some common examples are Polycyponia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelidium. Then let's talk about the Bryophyceae, which includes the various mosses and liver roots and found in commonly growing moss-shaded areas in the hills. Let's talk about the bryophytes, which are called as the amphibians of the plant kingdom because they live in the soil but depend on the water for their sexual reproductions. They usually found in damp and humid places. They lack true roots, stems or leaves and may possess root and leaf-like structure. The main plant body of the bryophytes is haploid and it produces gametes, so they called as the gametophyte. The sex organs in bryophytes are multicellular and the sex organs is two types, male called antheridium and the female sex organ called archegonium. They are flag-shaped and produces single egg. Then we talk about the zygote, which do not undergo reductions divisions immediately. The anthrozoids are released into water where they come in contact with archegonium. Then we talk about the multicellular body they produce called sporophyte. And the sporophyte is not free living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and give nourishment from this. The some cells of the sporophyte under reductions divisions to produce haploid spores and these spores germinate to produce gametophyte. So they have little economical importance. For examples, they provide food for herbaceous animals and the species of sphagnum which produce a peat which used for the fuel or packing materials. Then we talk about the lichen, which is the first organisms colonized in rock and have greater importance. The bryophytes are divided into two types. First one is lever roots and second one is mosses. Then let's talk about the lever roots. They usually found in moist and sandy habitats, and the plant body of a lever roots is thylaid. For example, marchantia. And then let's talk about the structure, specialized structure called gamma, which are green multicellular asexual buds. The gamma detach from the plant body and germinate to produce the new individuals. During sexual reproduction, male and female gametes organs are produced either in the same or different thalli. The sporophyte is differentiated into food, seta and capsules, and after meiosis, spores are produced within the capsule and the spores germinate to form the free-living gametophyte. And then let's move together for the mosses. The predominant stage of life cycle of the mosses are called gametophyte, which consist of two stages. First one is protonema stage and the second one is leafy stage. It is a creeping, green, branched and frequently filamentous stage, and the second one is developed from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. Then it consists of upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. They are attached to the soil through the multicellular and branched rhizoids. The stage bears the sex organ. Then let's talk about the reproduction modes. They vegetatively reproduce by fragmentations and budding. Then in sexual reproduction, the sex organ, antheridotes and archegonians are produced at the apex of the leafy shoots, and after fertilization, the zygote develops into sporophyte consisting of food, seta and capsule. Then the sporophyte in mosses is more elaborate than the lever roots, and the capsules contain spores. The spores are formed after the meiosis. Some common examples are Funaria, Polytrichums and Sphagnum. Then let's talk about the pteridophytes, which includes horsetails and ferns. This is the first terrestrial plant which possesses the vascular tissue, xylem and phloem. Then in bryophyte, the dominant phase is the gametophyte, but in pteridophyte, the dominant plant body is the sporophyte. Then the leaves in pteridophytes are small as in Selaginella and large like in ferns. And then let's talk about the distinct compact structure called strobili or cones. The sporophyte bears sporangia that are subtended by the leafy-like appendages called sporophylls. In spore mother cells, the spores are germinate to produce inconspicuous small but multicellular free-living and mostly photosynthetic thylaid gametophyte called prothallus. In majority of the pteridophytes, the spores are similar kinds and they are called homosporous, but in some genera like Selaginella and Salvinia, they produce two kinds of spores. One is microspores and another is macrospore, which is usually called as the heterospores. The examples of pteridophytes are Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Lycopodium, Synopsida and Pteropsida. Then let's talk about the gymnosperms, which means naked seeds or sperms. And these plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary cells and remain exposed both before and after the fertilization. And the gymnosperm, the Geantridwood tree sequoia, is one of the tallest tree species, and the roots are generally taproots. If we seen in pinus, the roots have fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza, but if we see some others like cycas, small specialized roots called corolla roots are associated with interfixing cyanobacteria. The stems are unbranched in cycas and branched in pinus and cedrus. The leaves may be simple or compound. In cycas, the pinnate leaves persist for a few years. The leaves in gymnosperm are well adapted to withstand extreme temperatures, humidity, and wind. In conifers, the needle-like leaves reduces the surface area, and the thick cuticles and sunken stomata also helps to reduce water loss. The gymnosperms are heterosporous. They produce haploid microspores and megaspores, and the two kinds of spores are produced within sporangia that are borne on sporophylls, which are arranged spirally along an axis to form the lax or compact strobili or cones. The strobili bearing microspires and microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili. The microspores develop into a male gametophytic generation, which is highly reduced and is confined to only a limited number of cells. The reduced gametophyte called pollen grain. The development of pollen grains takes place within the microsporangia. The cones bearing megasporophylls with ovules are megasporangia called macrosporangia or female strobili. The male or female cones or strobili may be born on the same trees like pinus and in different trees like cycas. The megaspore mother cells differentiated to form the nucellus, and the nucellus protected the envelope, the composite structure called ovules. The ovules are borne on the megasporophylls, which may be clustered to form the female cones. The megaspore mother cell divides meiotically to form the four megaspores. One of the megaspore includes within the megasporangium and develops into a multicellular female gamete, which bear archegonia or female sex organ. The multicellular female gametophyte retained within the megasporangium, like bryophytes and pteridophytes, gymnosperm not having independent existence. Then let's discuss the last topic, the angiosperm. Like gymnosperms, the ovules are not naked, but in the angiosperm, the pollen grains ovules are developed in a specialized structure called flowers. In angiosperm, the seeds are enclosed in fruits. In angiosperm, the exceptionally large group of plants occurring in wide range of habitats. They range in size from the smallest olivia to tall trees of eucalyptus, which is more than 100 meters. They provide us food and fuels and medicines and several other commercial important products. They are divided into two classes like dicotyledons and monocotyledons. We completed these chapters and connected with me. I will upload the next chapter in within few days, and if you are new to my channel, subscribe my channel, press the bell icon, and thanks for watching. Love you all.